Hello everybody, my name's Heather the Bard, and I wanted to give a short talk on what is the Irish tin whistle. This is kind of in line. A year ago I did a short video on kind of a basic introduction to the Irish flute, and that's kind of what I'd like to do here. So first of all, what is an Irish tin whistle? It is a 6-hole end-blown, what's called a fipple flute, common to the British Isles and typically pitched in the key of D. So what is a fipple? That is a mouthpiece. And as you can see, we blow through this end, and there's a blade that splits your airstream. And part of it comes out here and part of it resonates inside the instrument, and that's what makes the sound. So a tin whistle is a fipple flute that has 6 open holes. So just like the Irish flute, it's an open hole instrument, so you need to be sure when you're covering your holes for your fingerings that you get a nice seal with the fleshy pad of your finger on the instrument, because if you don't seal it all the way, you don't get a pretty note. Typically, they will have about a consistent octave to octave and a half, or an octave and a half range, with higher quality whistles from other makers and other things like people who do handcrafted stuff like that. You can get up to 2 or 2.5 octaves range. I have a set of Sasato instruments made by the Kelishek workshop, and I can get easily 2.5 octaves out of one of those. The other thing is that the tin whistle is typically pretty inexpensive. My first whistle was a $8 Fadog, and the one that I have here currently is a $40 one from Tony Dixon in the UK. I've got some Sasatos. They run about $50, and then you can go all the way clear up to high-end makers who make ones that are easily $100, $200, $300 worth, with all kinds of exotic woods and everything like that. So to get into the tin whistle, you don't have to have a huge amount of cash to throw at it right off the bat. The inexpensive whistles, there's plenty of really good players that play inexpensive whistles, and they work great. It's just a matter of personal preference. Some of them have a slightly different tone than others, different sound. They're all typically pitched in the key of D. If you want, and what that means is to play a D whistle, you can play in the key of D, G, or A, with some cross fingerings or half holing, which is where you play the fingering for the note, and then you only cover half the hole for the accidental that you want. But there are makers like Sasato that make a bunch of different whistles in different keys. And so if, say, you're playing with somebody who wants to play a song in the key of E flat, well, then you would whip out your E flat whistle and play in the key of E flat with them. But a little bit of history. This is one of the oldest flute types known to man. There are examples that carbon date back to 60,000 BC, bone whistles that were carved with, the same type of mouthpiece on them. There are Roman and Greek documented sources that describe similar instruments. The aulos and the tibia, I'm probably mutilating those names, but I'm doing the best I can here. They've found bone and clay whistles, so fired clay instruments from between the 12th and 14th centuries in different digs all over Europe. They're very, very old. This is one of the first types of flutes that was ever created that way. This is the great granddaddy to the transverse flute. And original transverse flutes, simple system flutes, were just like this, except they had the flute head where you'd play like this instead of like this. The cool thing about the tin whistle is that Irish Brehon law, which is the ancient Celtic law, they described a flute-like instrument that matches this description in it. So this is an instrument that's been around for a long, long time. It's got a lot of literature associated with it. There's a lot of early music where when they call for flutes, and it's an instrument like this that they're talking about. Recorders are in the same family. The English flageolet. There's a bunch of different names, but they all kind of reference the same type of instrument. And that is kind of a quick and dirty guide to what is an Irish tin whistle. And again, if it's something you're interested in, lots of music stores carry inexpensive ones for $8, $10, $15. And that is, and they're good instruments. Paddy Maloney of the Chieftains, I believe, played a generation whistle, and they were of the $8 to $10 variety, and that's what he played. So it's all just a matter of personal preference. Some people pick up a inexpensive whistle, and that's what they like. They like the sound. Other people try a bunch of different stuff. Some people like how fancy the high-end ones look. It's just a matter of personal preference. And each one, you would think that with the same type of headpiece design, that they would all sound the same, but they don't. They sound vastly different. So that's also kind of fun that way. Each one has its own little character. So if you have questions, drop them for me in the comments, or send me a message on I'm on Steemit, steemit.com/@Heather the Bard. I'm on Tumblr with thebardsjournal.tumblr.com, and hope to see you around. Enjoy playing some music. Later.